Hey guys, this is Ginger and welcome back to the farm. Today is another session with Jigsaw, my 1.5-year-old Marsh Tacky Stud Colt. Today is just a very short session with working on his yielding and getting him used to working with the flag a little more. And this is something you want to be pretty careful with working with a flag with young horses, is not doing too much, because you don't want them to get so desensitized to the flag that they just ignore it. Like you don't want to flag at them so much that they start ignoring the cues. But he is pretty sensitive and with the flagging, and so instead of just using my stick and string today, I'm going to use it instead. Again, I'm not chasing him with it or anything like that. I'm just using it to give him a couple of soft cues on yielding his hindquarters and moving his shoulders over, and things like that. We're not doing a whole lot of work, and these sessions are very short because he is just a baby. But he loves to work. He's definitely going to be a horse that I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with, because he is not one to just sit out in the pasture and be bored, or he's going to get himself into trouble. And I don't know if that's just him, just his personality. I'm not too sure if is that a stallion quality, that they are just busybodies. I'm not too sure, but he definitely is one that needs a lot of stimulation. And he's in a little mixed herd with his emotional support donkey, which is right there in the background, Emmett, and a little mini gelding, and they keep him quite occupied and busy, but he likes it when I do things with him. So I'm constantly getting him out pretty much every day and doing just a little bit of something. So here I'm just asking him, to send forward and go through tighter spots. I just find like random things, like I'll go to the trees or up against the fence panels or in between posts and send him through things while we're getting prepped to work on trailer loading, so that he has the whole concept of sending and going forward, because I'd much rather send him into the horse trailer than taking him into the horse trailer. And he's getting that stuff down, pretty well. And so he did pretty good with that. I'm gonna let him smell the flag. He just hasn't quite figured out. Now, the flag that hangs on the posts and in his pen, he walks up underneath them and plays with them and piddles around with that. He doesn't really worry about that at all, but anything kind of low to the ground and near his feet, he is not the biggest fan of. So I'm going to have to remember that, a lot for the future. And today I'm going to teach him how to flex his neck side to side, so you'll be able to see it in real time. This is his first time flexing his neck to the side, and he got that pretty good. I always make sure that I praise him a lot whenever he gets something right, because he definitely really seems to like that and responds well to a lot of praise and a good release from things. And so there, he's kind of bracing a little bit. He wasn't sure if he needed to back up or not. And so I just keep holding it until he turns there. So I asked for a little bit more of a turn than the first one. And then I give him a good release. So I don't like to nitpick him. He's also one that doesn't like to be nitpicked to death on something. And he's always better on his right than he is his left. It's always something that's kind of unique about him, because most horses are better on their left side, just because most people handle them from the left side right off from the beginning, and that's just what they get used to. But he tends to do better on his right side than he does his left side, which I think is pretty neat. I may have to really start practicing my mounting from the right side, because he might be one of those that I have to do that from a lot more than the normal left-handed side. And so here I kind of make a little bit of a mistake, and I always like to show the mistakes, because we are human and we do kind of do dumb stuff. But I went to toss that up over his back, where the girth would lie, but instead I missed, and I kind of hit him on the hindquarters, and that started to upset him just a little bit. And then he decided that he didn't really want to do it. So then we had to have a conversation, because one thing that he can't do is go and learn that he can just brace up against me and not move at all. So when he didn't move back into the position that I asked him to be in right there, and he braced up against, I kind of had to get on him just a little to get him to come back and put himself back into the correct positioning, while I go and go to toss it again. And then now he's a little shy about it now, and so now we have to do this a little more, and go through this whole process, of that. But that's just normal, and this is something that he is going to have to learn, because we are humans and we do make mistakes, and we do weird and unusual things, and that's okay. And so this is just part of the process of him learning that things are not perfect all of the time, and just because something happens to you that is slightly uncomfortable doesn't mean you need to freak out or brace against it or not allow it to happen. And so when he moved out, I just brought him right back to the same position that I wanted him in, and then let him rest. And there he grabbed onto the lead rope and started biting down on that. And that's something that I had to start getting after him on, because I can't really allow that anymore. The first week or so that he was home, I didn't really let that bother me too much, because he was very young and very worried and stressed out. But now that things are settled in, biting on the lead rope and being super, super mouthy as a stud is just something that's could just turn into something a lot worse. So I have to stop him whenever he goes to do that. Again, what he had just done there was he didn't want me coming and putting that rope over the side of him again. And so we had to have this little conversation again. And so if he didn't allow that and he wanted to move out of the way, I'm like, okay, we can do that. You can move out of the way, but you're going to move in the way that I want you to go. And, I want you to yield your hindquarters away and keep moving, and you're not going to go and brace up and put your body in a position where you're going to tell me where you're going to be. And it's quiet, it's calm, you don't get emotional about it, you don't, yell and fuss and scream. And every time he gets back in the position that you originally wanted him in, you praise him. And when he doesn't, or when he tries to pull against you, or there he's trying to put his head and put me back over onto one side of him, because he doesn't want me there, because he doesn't want me to put the rope over his shoulders again, then you have to move him. And there, now I got the rope up over his back, and now I'm just rubbing him all over and scratching him, talking to him, telling him, what a good boy was. And you see, he tried to fade away, and he tried to act like he was almost fixing to try to leave, so I had to kind of pull his head back around. So if you need to back that up and look, you could see his head had started to fade off to the side there, and then I have to bring his attention right back, to me. And then I just wait until he starts lowering his head and start really relaxing his neck and shoulders about the whole process, because I want him to be able to start regulating his emotions a little bit better. And I don't stop when he is braced up and tight and tense. I just wait until he brings it back down and relaxes it. And so here it's hard to tell from the distance, but his mouth was kind of set, and he just had his neck really tight and tense. And so I'm asking him to lower his head by just a little light pressure on the lead rope. And there's just a light pressure. I'm not adding any more pressure. Like, the amount of pressure that I have is an amount of pressure that I can hold for a long time. So it's very light. And he's just braced up against it, and he's trying his best to not go down, because I'm just asking him just to release. And he tried to pull out a little bit more, and then he tried to look somewhere else, and I just keep holding the same amount of pressure. I'm not really until he bobbed his head and released. And then I asked him to do it just a little bit more. Like, I'm not adding any extra pressure. I'm not pulling. I'm just holding steady with the same amount of pressure that I could hold all day long if I had to, until I got the answer that I needed. And so that's something we're going to work on even more the older that he gets. And there, he's pretty okay with me putting the rope over him that way. And I'll be the first one to admit that I am not the handiest with ropes, as you're fixing to see, because now that I'm taking it and putting it over his withers, now I'm going to take it and put it up over his head and start flopping it around on the side, so he gets used to how reins feel and ropes feel flopping around, over him, and things coming up over his head. And I did not do a very good job with it right there, and he took a little bit of offense to that. And of course I had to go and fix his halter again. But again, that is human behavior. We're always going to do things that are uncomfortable, uncoordinated, a little awkward, things of that nature. And if he is going to be a well-rounded member of, society, and going to be the type of horse that I can do a lot of things with, he's going to have to get used to and be comfortable with me doing uncomfortable, weird things that are not perfect. And, I'm not doing anything that is harmful or hurtful to him. Like, none of these ropes are slapping on him or causing any kind of pain. They're just not going over very beautifully. And, there he goes. And so he's finally like, okay, you're weird and you're doing crazy stuff, but that's fine. And he's starting to really settle in and take it and realize that he's not going to get hurt. Like, things are not hurting him. And now I'm going to slide that rope down over his hip and ask him to turn. This is the very first time, so he had no idea what that means. So he's learning that. But I like the way he responded there, because he did not get upset when the rope went around his hips and put pressure around his hips. He didn't shoot off. He didn't try to bolt forward. He didn't kick at it. In fact, he just honestly tried to go over and smell more poop. And it did not bother him in the least bit. So I like that. And then, of course, whatever you do on one side, you must do on the other. So now I'm working the rope over his head, from the right side. And still, I am not very good at it from either direction. And this is something that I've got to get a little bit better at, but it's good for him because now he has to get used to me doing all kind of weird stuff around his face and his neck and over the top of him and all things like that. And he's getting it. He's figuring it out. And I give him a lot of praise, and then I'll do the same thing on this side that I did earlier, where I'll start working that rope down his body and then getting it over his hip and then asking him to turn in the direction of the pressure from the rope and get that used to being around his hips and the rope slinging around and just being super awkward. That was the first one from that way. And I just called this a day after this. This whole session took about 18 minutes total, which is about how much time I usually spend with him a day doing that, about 15 to 30 minutes a day. He's a young horse. He's only a year and a half, and that's more than adequate time. And then I'll go and give him a nice grooming and call it a day. So I hope you enjoy that short little session of some of the groundwork that I do with a young horse. So, again, it's very simple, very easy, and we don't do, a whole lot of complicated things. And, please like and share and follow along for more.